Hands down.
You started recording.
Yes.
Cheers to
Cheers.
the Belgian Grand Prix. Drinking 2 beers. I don't think you can read that back.
I've never even heard of this one.
This one, yeah, that's kind of I picked a blonde. I didn't pick a Chimay. You know, that's I can't drink that, especially when it's 105 outside.
Yeah, or on a Sunday. I don't know.
Anyway,
yes, back at Spa. Finally, back after summer break. Yes. How was your summer break? Good.
Yeah. That month,
mine was better.
Yes. Chris here got married.
I did. Finally. So,
congratulations.
Good times.
I know.
And my wife is a free Drive to Survive F1.
All right. She's a real deal.
She's the real deal.
Wait. We don't want to put shade on those people. That's joined because of Drive to Survive.
Yes, that's totally fine. But yes, back at Spa, and
what a track. Let's start there.
Yeah. So tell me your experience with Spa.
It's just, it's a one of a kind place. I mean, it's like Monaco's one of a kind. Spa's one of a kind. Monza's one of a kind. You have certain tracks, Silverstone.
Sure.
You have certain tracks that are just so iconic. They've been around so long. They have so much history, and they really do have, the character that's missing in so many new tracks, like Hungaroring.
Yeah, come on now.
What a go-kart track. I mean, it's really just not comparable, and that's why you saw cars. We'll get to that, but why cars weren't performing this weekend versus last race out.
Right.
One of the reasons. But Spa, I mean, you can't, that Eau Rouge corner, well, it's not really called Eau Rouge, but I call it Eau Rouge. It's just when you see it in person, there's nothing like it. Yeah. And it requires the whole track requires a lot of commitment from the driver and the car. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, that makes it different than many other tracks.
Sure.
The high speed of it, requires a lot of confidence in yourself in the car. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have either, or one of the two is lacking, then you got to be slow.
And Eau Rouge is definitely the most famous corner. However,
probably Formula One.
Probably,
say.
Yeah. I mean, there's some at Mons, but they're not that difficult. Tamburello. I mean, Parabolica. The skill level and the commitment, like you mentioned. No one is.
No.
However, there are others at Spa that appear to be needing a lot of commitment.
Yes.
If you're not there, you're losing.
There's a lot of off camber that you can't see on a TV screen. They're off camber and it unsettles the car. And there's crowns in the road because some of those roads are used on an everyday basis. So you've got grip issues that you don't have on other tracks because it's not a purpose-built track, right? Part of it is, but part of it is.
Yeah, I think it was, 2017? Multiple teams were saying, don't hit the bump.
Yep. Don't hit the curbs. Don't hit the, and you have the new runoff in the first corner. Mm-hmm. That's all gravel now, which was a big change from years past, which I still don't understand why they did that.
I don't know either.
It's what I read was it was for the support races, because support races the cars don't stop fast enough, so they had to have a way to stop a Porsche 911 from hitting the barrier. Yeah, because those cars don't stop like F1 does.
No,
so the track is just one of a kind. If you ever have a chance to go to a race in Europe, I would highly recommend it. The weather sucks a lot of times.
And get there early because
get there very early. Anyway, we talked about it last time. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about qualifying. I had high hopes for Ferrari.
Yes.
Let's just be honest. But it ended up being Red Bull.
Red Bull did something leading up to the break or during the break.
Yeah.
That was a big differentiator. Mm-hmm. They had pace in the straight. They had pace in the corners. They were all over it.
I agree.
And something with the other teams, mainly the ones in red. Mercedes. And
very disappointing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, how much off was Hamilton?
I think
he did a 145.5 and Verstappen did a 143.6. So almost 2 seconds lower.
So
that's a world in F1.
Yeah, if you're Toto, that's got to be the biggest disappointment of the week.
I can't.
If you're nearly 2 seconds off qualifying pace.
And so was Russell. I mean, Russell was 0.2 off of Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean,
which is unusual too. I mean, he's usually closer than that. So that tells me they had no confidence in their car.
No, they don't. And coming off some good races. Yeah. And a lot of them, we talked about
Russell's a pole in Hungary.
Yeah, they had a lot of momentum in that garage. And they just came out so flat.
Oof.
Very disappointing. So
Ocon was way up there. That was interesting.
Yeah, what a weekend for him, right?
He was quick, but I think the standout was probably Albon.
Great
in ninth. You know, I mean that was a stellar lap. All the others were not. You know, barely.
I didn't think Ricardo, given his circumstances, to put that thing in qualifying P11.
Yeah,
I mean that's not a terrible performance.
He was only a 10th off his teammate in Q2, and then he didn't make it to Q3, but he wasn't far, away from Norris, which was nice, but he's showcasing himself for other teams.
Yeah,
that's why it's.
And now he's changed. I can only imagine the driving with nothing to lose, and you're free.
Very different.
Yeah,
very different. Right. You know that you have nothing to lose. Sure. Alonso, I mean, come on, 41 years old, 6th place. I mean, that's one hell of a lap. He was not even 2/10 slower than his teammate.
Oh yeah,
that's incredible. Right. I mean, that really is impressive. Anyway, what else? Who else do you want to talk to?
Qualifying wise, boy,
Perez was kind of disappointingly slow, don't you think?
Yeah, in qualifying for sure, and then in the race, we'll talk about the race when we get there.
Yeah, so he was 9. Is that 9/10?
That is 9/10.
9/10 slow, almost a second slower than Verstappen. Dude, you got to step it up.
Verstappen proved he's on
another plane.
Yeah,
and you see that with Hamilton when he had a car that he was fully committed with and fully won with. He could really push it to that next level, right? And I think Verstappen is exactly in that group. I mean, it was a Verstappen Red Bull Showcase.
For sure. And Haas, disappointed in Haas. I always have to talk about Haas.
Yes. Being American,
right.
We got to talk about Haas. Very disappointing. I don't know what to say about them.
Yeah,
really don't. Anyway, all right, on to the race. What do we have to say about Leclerc? Let's start at the Reds. Let's start with the Reds.
I just do not understand the constant confusion and lack of confidence from the pit wall.
It was just I started howling when he was like, "Why am I on these tires in qualifying?"
Yeah.
Right? He's like, "Why am I on these tires
in that race?"
Oh, sorry, man, mistake. Mistake. Oh, no big deal. Nah, F you.
Yeah.
What the hell?
So there's this lack of communication, and even in the race, he can't come in because he had a visor guard.
Yeah, stuck on the brake ducts. Yeah, or brake duct. Yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah. So they caught that, comes in. He didn't even know what tires he was on.
No.
And he says, "What tires are these?" I mean, come on.
And then later on, I heard the commentators say that they had asked, which I missed it.
They did.
Well, asked him.
They did.
What the hell? The driver doesn't know.
It was towards the end.
Has no idea.
And I think he was in P6, and they said, "You can box this lap and we can put new tires on. You'll come out in the same position or maybe one less, but you should be able to still finish P5 and maybe get fastest lap." And they leave that to the driver.
No, the driver doesn't have the 30,000 foot view of what everybody else does. There's no way. That's just stupid. I mean, now maybe after the last blunders, maybe the driver said, maybe Sainz and him said, "You know what? From now on, we want to be in on the decision."
Would a driver do that?
Yeah, I would have. I would have said, "You got to talk to me a lot more during the race."
I would have.
Because you obviously are not understanding the strategy.
No, and so the confidence level, the trust level must be at rock.
It's at a bottom for sure.
I mean,
that's why you hear Leclerc. We didn't hear Sainz much, but Leclerc is questioning everything.
Yes,
you can tell he's questioning everything, which rightly so.
For sure.
Screw they really shot themselves in terms of the championship from those races.
Totally. So, and then for Red Bull, yes, they finished 1-2, runaway victory in P2. However, I must say that start from Perez, that was one of the worst starts I've ever seen from Red Bull.
Yeah.
Is that wheel spin or?
Yeah, he must have had wheel spin.
He had to have.
Because they don't miss gears anymore, like they used to. And I can only say that probably wheel spin or that the system didn't engage properly and he was bogged down when that can happen too with the clutch.
Yeah.
Because the hand clutch, you have to be really precise with that to really get the launch.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, that was a terrible start. I think Hamilton did the best.
He had a great start.
He made the best line. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jordan was too. And I thought, great, here we go. Mercedes can put up a fight today and for a podium. And then
the stupidity on Hamilton's part. That was a crappy move.
That was terrible. And he said after the race that Alonso was in his blind spot and he didn't leave enough room. I think that's coming from feeling a little pressure in pressing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's pressing to get, because he's not confident that he has the best car for the first time in 9 years.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing to see
mistakes, right?
And he's thinking, if I get behind here by 5-6 seconds, I have no chance.
I'm stuck behind Alonso for 5 laps. I'm going to be toast. Yeah.
And give credit to Alonso for not backing out of that.
Yeah, he should. No, hell no. I mean, that just goes to show you Alonso is the real deal. You know, I mean, he doesn't let people by unless there's really no. But in the first lap, hell no.
No, and that's
I was laughing at his comment.
Yes, what an idiot!
He can only drive from the front, you know, which he has a point. I mean, if you haven't practiced that close combat that you have in the midfield, if you don't, it's a skill. You have to feel the cars, hear the cars, smell the cars, see the cars, and if you're not used to that, your sense of all that is not there. And so I can see where he thought, you know, this guy can drive from the front and knows what to do because it's super easy. If you're on the first row, it is so easy to drive. I mean, all you have to deal with is your mental, right? Your mental game. But if you're in the mid pack, dude, it's warfare. It's warfare out there.
And it's a different pit strategy. So you're probably handling your tires differently.
Absolutely. You know, and you just handle your vicinity to cars and how you touch cars because you touch each other during that, especially that first lap. But there's a certain not pecking order, but a certain operandus, you know, modus operandi to touching each other at the right spots without putting each other out of the race, right? Because it's going to happen. You're sliding around. You're not in control of that necessarily.
Right. It's almost the unwritten rules of.
Yeah, exactly. There's some camaraderie there that they understand how far to push it and how far not to push it. And he slammed the door shut, which reminded me actually. Those of you who can remember, look it up maybe on Google. You should see Schumacher in his first Group C Le Mans race. He did the same thing to another car and took him out of the race. He just assumed he was Michael Schumacher and he could shut the door on somebody that he had just the back marker he had passed, and he just clipped him and went off. You know, it's just the same. It's like the arrogance of I'm past you. You better make room.
Right. This is my corner.
No. Sorry.
Interesting.
So anyway.
Yeah. So disappointing from Hamilton. I couldn't help but laugh when it looked like he was walking out in the Belgian forest on his own.
that was pretty classic. I'm sure that's going to be a meme or some kind. But, sure. And his teammate did pretty well. I mean, he just hung in there.
George Russell did the race, and I thought he was going to catch Carlos because he was closing the gap quickly. Apparently, his tires were just gone in the last few laps. So, but still a great drive. I mean, I think if you had told Mercedes you'll have one incident with a DNF and then a P4,
I think that was the best case situation because they were not as fast as
this could be very unexciting for the top spot the rest of the way.
Yeah, I think Verstappen has his championship, but it's still 9 races to go, right?
Sure,
and that's a long way to go. Then we have Perez, who just not impressed right now with him. He's just going through a slump. Alonso is very impressed with. Leclerc, what do you say?
Well, so then they do decide to take that last pit stop. Then he gets a speeding penalty.
I didn't even hear that.
I mean, is this GP2?
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing?
No, exactly.
They are performing like a very low-level team with a lot of expensive talents, not only in the car, but on the pit wall.
Well, I mean, that must be his fault because he must have taken his finger off the button too soon.
Yeah, I mean, they have a pit limiter for that reason.
They press a button on the steering wheel, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, did that affect the finish?
No.
Because I didn't see it then. I didn't even hear about that part.
It may have.
Holy cow!
If he had a 5-second penalty,
yeah, he would have been like 5 seconds. He would have been behind Vettel. He would be 9th place.
Yeah.
And Leclerc was only a second behind Alonso. Yeah. Ocon was nearby. Vettel was nearby. So that actually was a pretty close finish from 5th place to 9th place. Yeah. To 8th place.
Esteban Ocon to me was super impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a strong driver. I just think he's a different driver in the past. I don't know if it was the race win last year and that just gave him all this confidence.
Sure.
Maybe it's Fernando being his teammate that can instill confidence. But he's driving with a toughness and a confidence that is getting the team a lot of points.
And he's right there. Yeah. How did he do in qualifying? Sorry, I don't think we talked about him. So he was ahead of Alonso. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really good.
That's a strong weekend for the whole team, specifically for.
And hey, let's talk about
Vettel.
What the hell, man? Did you wake up, or did the team make changes? Like in the month off, did they come up with something that's
maybe he developed the car like?
And there's rumors that they have a lot of things in the pipeline, and that's why Alonso wanted to go there.
That could very well be true.
So there might be things coming from them, which will be great to bring them back up.
Yeah,
because that used to be Force India, which I always liked. The likable underdog.
Yeah,
that could perform in certain races. With their limited budget.
Did you like being continually disappointed by Nico Hülkenberg not getting on the podium?
Don't bring his name up, German. God, my dad and I talk about him all the time. What a waste of a talent. He was so talented, but he never sat in the right cars. And then mentally, you just disappear. You just don't have that fire anymore. Stroll, never mind. Vettel's teammate Stroll, and everybody else was the same thing. Everybody, Gasly and Tsunoda and
I think Gasly finally put in a big step from him. I mean, he had a tough start. He was middle down in 15, 15. Hit it early, put on the hard tires, moved up and out, and then he finished P9.
Yeah,
I think he had a pretty.
That's as good as you're going to get with that car on that track. And we talk about Albon. I think he got the max out of that car this weekend.
Yeah, I think that probably deserves a lot of praise from the whole F1 community because in a Williams in 2022, I don't think if you're a pilot in that car, you're expecting points, right? And then he qualifies,
but they have Mercedes engines, right?
They do.
So that helps, so it's a power track. I mean, you got to have some power,
I think,
but still, it's still impressive from Williams because they're, I mean, Hungaroring, they were like dead last or something, or I mean, so you're right. Mm-hmm. That's respectable. Norris was not respectable.
No, I don't know
what happened. I didn't pay attention to what happened to him that he went that far back.
Nothing obvious. He just had no pace
because he qualified 10th and he finished 12th. Right? That's not what you want to see.
No, and he was fighting there for a little bit, but talking about the midfield fight, it didn't seem like the same aggressive Lando.
No. Magnussen, Schumacher, Latifi, Bottas, Hamilton, they were out. So,
and Latifi took Bottas out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was unfortunate. That's inexperience right there. Yeah. What are you going to say to this? Overall, I think it was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And next up, we're going to have the Max Verstappen.
There'll be lots of orange going on.
Fan club meeting at the Heineken Dutch Grand Prix. Sorry, Heineken, we're not drinking a Heineken.
No, we're not drinking Heineken.
Well, maybe next time. Should we have a Heineken? What else? Should we have some cheese?
I don't know. Is that what they eat in the Netherlands?
Well, that's what in Germany we call them cheese eaters.
Really?
Yeah, they do a lot of cheese. Call them cheese eaters.
Okay.
Well, more derogatory than that. But Germans and the Dutch don't get along, and vice versa. So anyway, it's Belgium. Good race.
Yeah.
Kind of boring at the end.
A little boring at the end.
To recap, and What do you think about? I wanted to ask you about what was the deal on the planks on the. Did you read on how the ride height that there's?
Oh, I did not. No.
To beat out to stop the porpoising.
Oh, that's right. So they were going to lower it.
Yeah. I'm not sure it really made a huge difference to people, but I think this track just, I think one of the reasons besides Red Bull, the other teams were not quite up to speed was because people didn't have running time in the dry at that temperature. So it was all kind of a gamble as to the setup. And I think Red Bull just has a car where you can hide that kind of thing. Just like, Mercedes used to have that car where you could hide those little flaws and make up for them without having a proper setup.
Yeah.
So,
they don't have to have a 100% on the nose setup to extract great results.
Right. So I think it's a little bit of a strange race, plus all the penalties from engine changes and things like that jumbled the starting grid. So I was hoping for more of a exciting race to the front. So it's kind of the march to the front without much fighting. So.
And I'm not a huge Red Bull fan. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Respect to them.
Absolutely.
I do have a question for you as far as teams and drivers that are mid to the back of the pack going into the last 9 races. What's the psyche of a driver that's wasn't expected to have a great season? They're not having a great season, and their future in the sport is in doubt. What goes through your mind where you're?
Well, you have 2 choices. You can cower to that and have your tail between your legs and be super careful, or you can go all in, recommit and say I've got nothing to lose.
Right. So if let's just pick a driver in the midfield who's in doubt.
I have no idea. With the silly season going on, I don't even know who really is in doubt. I would think that's Sonoda, Zhou, how do you Shu? Latifi for sure. Bottas. Those guys back there will have to do something. Ricardo, yeah, and I think Ricardo gets enough attention. He's valuable in many other ways besides driving to the front. Mm-hmm. He's valuable to sponsors. So just from a name recognition, and personality standpoint, that I think some of the other teams might put up with him not performing very well because their goal is to keep their sponsors happy and keep the sponsor's name in front of the camera. Sure. So I think he'll be in another team next year for sure. I think he already has offers if he hasn't signed something already.
Right.
What about Mick? I think the Schumacher name is going to hold him there.
Yeah. Agreed.
Let's be honest. Agreed. He has performed here and there. He has sparks of a good driver, but it's still.
If you're him, how long do you stay committed to the Ferrari program?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, because he can only get strung out so long.
Yeah, let's say Alpine comes along and says, "Okay, Piastri didn't work out." I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have some conversation with Ferrari at some point and say, at least loan me out to these teams.
Yeah. Okay.
So loan me out,
option, right?
Which Piastri was on schedule to be. That was the deal. Mm-hmm. He's going to be loaned out to other teams, which is how these people make money with those up and coming drivers. Right. I invest money in you, then you turn around, I loan you out, and that team pays me back for the investment I made at you.
Right.
And that's why they're pissed at him for not holding up, because they're losing a ton of money.
That is crazy.
Millions and millions.
They've got to resolve that soon, don't they?
Yeah. That just goes to the court.
Yeah.
Funny little story about Schumacher. Schumacher, back in the day when he drove Spa, Francorchamps' first Formula One race in 1991, right? Mm-hmm. So Eddie Jordan thought he had an ironclad contract with Schumacher to move forward. And they signed the contract, all kinds of, whatever, before even Spa started. And multi-year contract. Then after that first race, he gets an offer from Benneton and says, here, his manager, Willie Weber, says to Eddie, the deal's off. Eddie says, fine, we'll go to court. So they fly to London, go to court. And Willie Weber's attorney was smart enough and knew English law, British law, well enough. He put a word in there that said, Michael Schumacher shall drive for Eddie Jordan.
Assuming that's not rock solid.
Not he will, but he shall. That implies a choice, if he so chooses. And the courts in 5 minutes agreed with that. And that was the end of that.
Off to Benetton.
And so when you have these contract negotiations, who knows what Piastri has in his contract?
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of out that those other guys didn't even think about, that his attorneys thought about. And so it just becomes that, which is cool. I mean, it's just business. I mean, it's such a small group of people. You have to get along with all of it. Right. You don't want to burn bridges. You want to be friendly and say, hey, it just didn't work out this year. Maybe in the future. I mean, look at Ricardo. He may end up back at Alpine,
right?
Which was Renault,
right? After treating his friend Cyril like trash. I know he's not with the team anymore, but still, there's still plenty of people in that Alpine team that remember that and hold it against him.
For sure. But it's business.
Yeah.
If he's available and they believe that he can take this team to another level or that he's valuable to the spot, then they're going to sign him.
Yeah.
The history be damned.
Yeah. If he can get points in revenue.
The only team I would not say that about, who do you think that would be?
Haas. No.
Yeah.
Oh, Red Bull.
No.
For Ricardo?
No, for anybody.
Oh.
He would not take somebody back.
Toto. I'm learning about teams. Ferrari. So you don't think they take Fernando back?
If you're out of Ferrari,
really?
You're out.
Okay.
It's like you're what is
they took Kenny back.
Wait, what's in Catholic Church when you're excommunicado, when you're kicked out?
Yeah, excommunicated.
Yeah. It's religion. I mean, it's like you said something against the Pope.
Well, that's what Massa did.
Yeah, that's
what
Alonso did. Alonso did that. Out, you will never come back. Never. So interesting.
Well, maybe Leclerc better be careful, as Jerry says.
And that's why you do hear them being very careful as what they say today. But at some point, they just had enough and they want to move on, so they say something, and then Ferrari says, "Well, then you're out.
You're out. Yeah, you're out. How dare you discredit?
Cut off your nose, because some of these drivers, they just needed a break. Invite them back. Bring them back if they're fast, if they're young enough. Anyway, all right. How long has it been going? 29 minutes. Wow, look at that.
It's a quick one.
Well, there wasn't that much. There wasn't on this race. Now, Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix, is a really cool track, beautiful track. I'm still amazed that they will allow F1 cars on that track.
How so? Why so?
It's dangerous. Yeah. I mean, it's the runoff areas just aren't there. It's a really tricky track, and the reason it's super tricky is that it's literally at the beach. And so you have a lot of blowing sand that's just in the air and settles down. And so you'll get from one corner to one lap, same corner, to the next lap, same corner, and all of a sudden you're sideways because there's a gust of sand blew onto the track. So it's as a driver, it's really cool. It's up and down. It's windy. It's fast. Yeah, Tarzan. Yeah, Tarzan. It's such a great name. It's so much fun. So much fun to drive in there because you think, you have to literally brake, but you don't. You just fly in there, just hope that it sticks, and sure enough, it sticks. This is one of those corners. Love it.
Yes.
So that'll be super interesting to watch.
And then on to Monza.
Well, you gotta love Monza. I mean, we're gonna have to go to Monza.
We got to go to Monza.
We should definitely go to Brazil.
Yeah,
one of these days
for sure.
That's another iconic track. I just want to go for the atmosphere.
Yeah, agreed.
So if anybody's watching, why don't you put down in the comments what track you want to go to watch?
You should. Yeah.
Austria, the track itself is beautiful. Yeah. The setting's beautiful. Well, do you think United States, Las Vegas will be something interesting?
I think it'll be a spectacle. I saw where one of the big casinos, MGM, maybe one of those, they have packages that cost $100,000.
How's that even I don't know. I call that stupid money.
That's stupid money. So you're going to get a lot of stupid money.
Kind of like Miami.
Let's hope they don't have an artificial marina. That was a little ridiculous.
That is laughable for sure.
Anyway,
only in America.
Hey,
it's Vegas. I would expect it from Vegas, not from Miami, but from Vegas. It's really just,
and it's going to be on a Saturday
night. What?
Yeah, it's going to be on Saturday night.
I didn't know that. That's unusual, isn't it?
It is very unusual. I've never seen an F1 race not on a Sunday afternoon.
Now, Singapore at night, was that a Sunday night? Singapore? Or is that Saturday too?
I think it was Sunday.
Okay.
We'll see. Anyway, I just want Coda to survive. I like that track a lot.
We need to have the United States Grand Prix there and not have like Miami or Vegas become the US Grand Prix. No, it needs to be a proper racetrack.
Agreed.
Because honestly, Miami was a joke, complete joke. I mean, we weren't even on air when Miami was happening. But what a freaking joke! As a driver, I would have said, to help people anyway. But you do what you have to do to sell. You're in entertainment business. You got to sell,
and they know that this country is ripe for revenue.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Amen to that.
It's a lot of money here.
There you go.
All right.
Yes. See you all next week. And then the week after that, we got 3 races in a row.
So we do. Wow.
Indeed.
Love it.
And then they got 3 weeks to get to Singapore and then back to Japan. I can't wait to go back to Japan. I like that place.
Suzuka is. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Historical, fast.
What a track.
Racing.
That's a hard track.
Yeah.
That's really hard. So, yeah, we'll probably see Max Verstappen run away with it.
Probably. It's looking like
Suzuka is one of those tracks like Spa that they'll perform really well at. So, and if Mercedes can't figure out the drag problem that they're having, they're not going to be fast on any of these. Italy is too fast for them.
Yep.
Japan will be too fast for them. Mexico with that giant mile-long straight, they'll be too slow. Brazil did do fine. Abu Dhabi did do fine. But they'll have challenges for sure. Too much drag.
Too much drag. Come on, Toto. Get this thing. Come on, Bono.
And we're not talking about the gay drag. We're talking about the air drag.
The air drag.
Yes.
Not the gay.
No, air drag.
Cheers. See you guys next week.
Bye.